this, like I said, this happened in November, and then by mid-December, I actually went on a trip to Utah Park City skiing. So, hey, yeah, I thought I was doing good. But then it got to the point where I wasn't feeling anything. I wasn't feeling anxious, but I wasn't feeling happy either. Go to the doctor. Oh, yeah, okay. And tell him that. And instead of saying, okay, maybe we need to like down some of your doses, cut back a little bit, he said, well, how about we add another medicine? You're probably depressed. Added another medicine, but I didn't stick with that one because I did not like how it was making me feel. And I was just becoming more like a zombie. I mean, I feel like I need medicine. I'm still on medicine, but I felt like I was way over medicated at that point. Ooh, I like the sparkle. This would be good for the holiday. Yeah. So I end up, I don't know if I switched doctors at that time or not, but I went down lower on my doses. And yeah, the panic attack, so it's very misleading, I feel like, if you were like me and you think, oh, okay, if somebody's having a panic attack, you breathe into a paper bag or something. I don't know, I've never tried that, but it didn't help. It wasn't like what I thought it would be. And then once you have one, if you have anxiety, I mean, this might not obviously be the case for everyone, but for me, once I had that, then I became so afraid of having another panic attack that anytime I felt anything in my stomach, I was just like, is it happening again? Whoa, okay, that glitter. If you were using the Pop Beauty, you might want to use a glitter glue because it does seem like there is some fallout on that. We're going to do the eye method. This stuff, I really like these, the wing stamps. So much easier. I'm still not perfect at the wings, but so much easier. Maybe I should, actually, yeah, I'm going to do my concealer and face makeup first. So yeah, you become fearful of having another attack because it's not like it's a phobia where you can say, oh, I'm afraid of flying because I think I'm going to crash, or like any of the other like heights, or so if I just avoid heights, I'll be okay. It's not like that. I did start to realize that a lot of my anxiety does come from if I feel trapped, then that can kind of bring it on, but it's not always the case. That is, I think, the hard thing about it is sometimes you can go maybe to an event or go to a place and be fine, and then the next time you go, you have a panic attack. And for me, wherever I've had a panic attack, then I've noticed that I'm a little hesitant and it takes me a while to get back to going to whatever that location was. It took me quite a while before I felt comfortable going downtown, and I felt really bad because that's not how I would normally be, but I think I quit like being on that fashion group board via email, but I couldn't, I remember just thinking there's no way I can go downtown, and I don't know if I didn't want to, tell people. I'm not exactly sure now, but gotten a new job, and somewhere I'm just kind of merging things together. Ended up getting engaged, got married. My ex had said that he would feel more comfortable trying to have children if I would go off on my medicine. I had talked to my doctor, and she had told me that it's really an individual case. Things can happen if a mother is not on any medication. The medication I was on was the oldest, like, that's been around. There's been a lot of studies. Yeah, so she said how, as far as like the different type of anxiety medicines, it was relatively safe, and that sometimes it's just individual. Sometimes the stress of the anxiety from the mother is worse for the baby than any of medicine could be. Sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes she said that when people get pregnant, Sometimes you don't feel that my therapist and my gynecologist had said, they both had said sometimes the mothers then have come off the medicine and didn't feel like they needed it during that time. And he even had friends, one couple that the wife was on the same medicine. She had 2 kids and no problems, but he still was very adamant about me being off of it. I think it was just an excuse, but okay, so I go off of it. I have another panic attack. I didn't know that, I did the whole thing of I went gradually off of it, but I did not know that as you're going off of the medicine, the things that you are feeling kind of can mimic a panic attack. Well, I just knew that I didn't like how I was feeling, and why did I decide to try to go off of it? It was probably like in the fall or something, because there again, I had another panic attack, and it was the month of November. Now I have learned that the month of November, I don't make any big decisions. I don't make any big changes, because just mentally, I think because I've had a total of 3 bad panic attacks in the month of November, not like the same year, but yeah. So November is a little bit of a struggle for me. So I go back on the medicine. Then I tried again to go off of it. Had another panic attack in November. That time, it was just crazy. I got to where I didn't want to leave the house, and I was working. I missed work for like a week. Luckily, my boss at that time understood, but I commuted an hour, and I just could not bring myself to go. Then when I finally did go back to work, I noticed what helped me is thinking, and the therapist told me this, don't think about the whole day as like a full 8-hour. You just need to get through maybe the next minute. Maybe you go by minute. You just need to get through the next 5 minutes, the next 10 minutes, and you just keep building, and then eventually it'll be one day and you'll think, wow, I didn't worry about it all day. Like, I went to work, I came home, and I didn't worry. And I also noticed that on my computer, you know how it has the time in the bottom corner? I had to cover that with a Post-it note, because I felt like if I didn't cover it, I was constantly looking at that, constantly aware of how long I had been there, how long I had to still be there for the day, and it just was not good. So that's a little tip too, if you are struggling with that and you somewhere you have to be, just cover the times so you're not focused on that. Oh, this is the first time I'm using this. What is this? The pressed foundation. I like it. It's looking pretty good. And as far as if you know somebody that is struggling with panic attacks, I can't really say, is it better to try to distract them, to comfort them, ignore them, just let them be? It just is up to the individual, and it's not always the same necessarily. Like, one therapist told me, if you are at home and you don't have to go anywhere, to really try to work through the panic attack, to think of it as waves, that the panic is coming into your body like a wave. With it about 20 minutes, the average panic attack lasts, it'll go out of your body. Easier said than done when you are in that mindset. When you're in it, you kind of have that flight or fight thing, and you're just like, I just want to leave. My defense a lot was, okay, if I take some medicine or I listen to a hypnosis, program on my phone and just go to sleep. Like, that was kind of my thing. This is the Makeup Magnet Mist from Pop. There does seem to be a little bit of scent, very lightweight, though. She said if you can, to sit through it. But if you are at work or you're in your car, somewhere out, you can't always, or you can, but, sometimes you need to distract yourself. So if you have to distract yourself, I was much better at trying to distract myself than trying to sit with him. And I always was trying to avoid it. and I was thinking of myself as broken. An important thing is to try to surround yourself with positive people. If you are around somebody that does have panic attacks, I would say my most important advice that I can think of is don't make them feel like they are broken, that they need to be fixed. They need to learn how to manage their anxiety and manage the things, but you're not broken. Ooh, that's a little dark. Okay, that's the darkest color in this palette. A little too dark. We're gonna have to blend this out. This is just a fluffy, clean brush. Blend. Yeah, actually, we're going to take some of that powder or the foundation and kind of fix that up. And the last severe panic attack I had, it was in the summer. I don't know if it was June or July. I don't know. But it was in the summertime on the way to Vegas in a plane. I still resell on eBay, but at the time there was eBay conference, and my mom helped me list things on eBay, and then I had another one of my ex's friends did. So decided that my mom and I are going to go to this conference. Then, well, it's in Vegas, so then we decided, okay, the ex was going to go. I mean, he was my husband at the time. And his friend who was a part-time employee. So we're all going. We're on the plane. Him and his friend are in rows. They weren't by us, I don't know, a few rows up. So I was sitting with my mom. Why in my right mind, why would I pick that time to tell my mom that I didn't think my marriage was working? I don't exactly remember what I said, but yeah, on a plane. Real smart, huh? So then it came where I was just like, I have to get off. We have to leave. And we're on the runway, taxiing back, ready to take off. And she's like, no, you can't leave. You just take some medicine and go to sleep. So that's what I did. Then got there and was okay, generally speaking. I mean, I was going to a hotel with the conference, so most of the time I was okay. Then on the last day, I don't know, I just was freaking out. And I remember we were sitting in a bakery and I was near tears. And I am not one to cry in public, but I just was like, I can't get on the plane. What are we going to do? How are we going to get home? And I don't know if I had called or my mom had called my sister or my mom. I don't know who said this, but it's fine. Like, we'll rent a car. Worst case scenario. Okay. Vegas to Illinois, that would be quite the drive, but it's doable. Well, I ended up taking my medicine. I got on the plane, but I don't really remember going through security. And I just remember like sitting at the gate. I had my relaxation app, because I have a couple different apps on my phone as far as like to help you relax. Listening to that, I remember barely getting on the plane and then being home. And what year was that? That's been a while. I have not flown since then, and I just progressively got worse. At this time, I wasn't working. I had gotten fired from my job, which is a whole nother story. Again, that was in corporate. I don't know for sure, because again, I had good reviews there, but one of the bosses, I started asking questions, and then lo and behold, then I started getting in trouble. But then I was told I didn't ask enough questions because I kept being told, like, we need to buy more, but then there wasn't money in the budget to buy more. But then it was like, well, you should have asked. And like I said, that's a whole other story. So I don't know if, just didn't like me. I don't know if, I started making mistakes when I started getting in trouble because, if you're wrote up and then you're just oversensitive and, but I don't know if she just didn't like me or if it was because I asked, questions. Did they think I was going to be a whistleblower? I don't know what the deal was. But anyway, got fired. So I wasn't working at the time. It just was getting to where it was too hard to even come home and visit my family. Was like the thought of driving a couple out, well, it was like 3 hours, was just too much. And it was just, getting to where I would barely leave that vicinity. I'd maybe go to the town next to where I was living at the time. Maybe. It was even so bad that, and this is another thing, if you have a family or friend that suffers from panic attacks, try not to take it personal if they cancel plans on you. I felt so bad. So one of my best friends lives in California. And for her birthday, me and a couple other girls had gotten together and got paid for her plane ticket. I'm pretty sure it was her plane ticket or her hotel or something for her to come out. And the plan was to all be downtown and go out, and then, I'm saying "and" too many times. Then my mom and sister would come up, and the girl from California and us would do afternoon tea, which we loved doing. I was all excited, but I was nervous because, looking back, I should have been trying to plan more by then and, work my way up to going downtown or being out of the house for more than an hour. So when the time came, I couldn't do it. When you're not in the throes of anxiety, you think, oh, come on. Like, why couldn't I just do this? But when you're in it, it's just hard to explain. You get tunnel vision and you're just so focused on, I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to have a panic attack. So I didn't go. And I don't know why either. I should have known better, or I should have asked my mom and sister to come up and stay with me and then drive with me downtown to the afternoon tea, but I didn't. So I ended up missing out and not visiting with my friends. Okay, I can't talk and do this, so 1 second. Okay, they're not perfect, but I'd say that's pretty close. For me, this is close. So yeah, I, missed a lot of things that I wish I would have done. But like I said, when you're in it, you don't mean to be being selfish and missing out on things and last minute changing plans. And you have every intention of going. But then sometimes when the day comes, you get sick and nauseous and you just can't do it. So try to be patient. But post-divorce, it was so bad that I could barely go through the drive-thru. But I did start to go to a therapist right after my divorce. And like I said, being around positive people just made a huge difference. If you want me to talk about different techniques that I've had over the years that I've learned as far as like the distraction thing, then let me know, because that can definitely be a topic. So I was doing much better. I started going more places, even went downtown Chicago and run sprinkle cupcakes, which so good. And I love, this is off topic, but have you ever been to Sprinkles? They have the ATM, the cupcake ATM. I love that. You can go at any time of the night and get cupcakes out of the ATM machine. It's so cool. Anyway, so that was like my first trip. Again, then I did downtown. I don't know if it was like at midnight or I don't know. It was in the middle of the night basically for cupcakes. And then 2020 hit. You can imagine, I would think, that a pandemic is not good for somebody with anxiety and catastrophic thinking because, I think the worst. So for me personally, I need medicine. And for me personally, one therapist said it and it did help. She's like, you can't if you keep fighting it, it just will make it worse. You have to accept it and think about it as it's just part of who you are. And your line, she said how, if you think of anxiety as like a hill, and every time you kind of have more anxiety, if you always avoid it and always distract, the hill is going to get bigger and bigger. But if sometimes, and the majority of the time, you're able to just push forward and make it over that hill, then it starts to get smaller and smaller. She said, but given your family history and then just what my makeup is, she's like, I don't think your road's never gonna be flat. There's always gonna be some little hills in it. And that did help me. So I know that there's going to be times I used to, after I'd have a panic attack, then I would think, oh my gosh, like I'm never gonna get better. Fortunately, I've always improved and gotten to the point where I could go out and do more stuff after every time I've had a severe one. So I try to keep that in mind of this is just another, I'm going to have to just start again with the baby steps. Start again with slowly going out, slowly meeting people, and, not letting the judgment of others. Luckily, I don't think I have too many people in my life still that, kind of judge me for going out or not going out or, whatever. But it's just a process of starting over again and thinking, okay, I need to just do something for, like half hour or an hour, be around people and just slowly build up again. It's been quite a few times. Obviously, the previous times were never like through a pandemic, but should I curl my hair? This curling iron, this is Remington. This was just at Marshall's years and years ago. Probably like $20 or something. I don't know. This is like the best curling iron that I have tried. I love how it does my hair. It's just so kind of ironic, I guess, that it's like the cheapest one. But anyway, I think that anxiety and depression go hand in hand. And to me, if you have anxiety, I could be wrong, but I feel like it would be hard not to get depressed because, at least for me, like my anxiety, like I mentioned, I was getting to where I wouldn't leave the house. Well, if you're just home and thinking about it, and like you're gonna get depressed, you know what I mean? So it did get to where I was in a very, very dark place. It was so, like, every little thing was overwhelming. Go to the drive-thru, go to the grocery store, like everything. It's so weird now because now that I'm not, even when I get anxious now, and even when I've had a panic attack since I came home post-divorce, I still, and even with 2020 and everything, I still did not have those thoughts. So it makes me think like who you are around affects your mindset, number one, and it just makes such a huge difference because, it was getting to the point where I had to focus so hard when I drove across a bridge. Why can't I get this on? Okay, there we go. I would just have to be like, drive straight, drive straight, drive straight, because I would get these urges and these like visions almost. It sounds weird. I never had that in my life before this. And this was when I was married. But where I just would feel like driving off the bridge. And then like with self-harm thoughts, I never had that like in high school or college or anything, but it was getting to where like I don't know if it was daily, but at least a few times a week, I would have these thoughts of self-harm and, like these images in my head. And like, that's another thing. If you know somebody, obviously it's going to be different for everyone. How many times can I say that? But if you know somebody, I had told my husband at the time about these things that I was feeling, that I was seeing in my head. It wasn't like vision. It was almost like I would wake up from a dream and like have these certain images and thoughts and stuff. So I was telling him that, and there was never that I can remember, there was never okay, what can I do? What can I do to help you? What can we do together? It was just, okay. I mean, I'm sure at some point maybe there was, but like, we went to therapy together, and this isn't to badmouth him or bash him. It's just, I'm trying to say like how important it is to have positive people around you. Because we went to therapy together, one more time. And we walk in there and they're like, oh, why are you here? You know, all that stuff. And his thing was, he said, well, we're here because this is Stacy's problems. And they said, well, what do you need to work on? I don't need to work on anything. This is Stacy's problems, and da 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 da. So it took me a long time to even voice what I was feeling because I felt embarrassed, and one of my biggest fears was being locked up. So I was thinking, like, if I tell him what's going through my head, like, I'm going to be locked up in a mental place. I'm just going to like throw away the key. And so that was my fear. And yeah, where am I going? I'm like getting sidetracked. It's just, I feel like if somebody would have just, you know, maybe said, hey, you know, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. What can we do? It's okay to feel that way. Don't be embarrassed or something. I don't know, but I do know that those thoughts were very, very strong and very, very often. It wasn't the instant that I moved out, but pretty close. Even with anxiety ramping back up, even with 2020, I have not had those thoughts, I am happy to say, since then. Let me know what you think of this video. If there's anything that I touched on that you want me to kind of elaborate on more. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.